Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Calhoun's. Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there, as we've already said. And folks, if you're looking for a last-minute plan, there are 9 area Calhoun's locations you can take the family to tonight. Or, if you forgot altogether, you can make it up to Mom by taking her to Calhoun's later this week, in case you forgot. Calhoun's, the taste of Tennessee. Take Mom out there this week. All right. We'll stick with our theme here. Again, it's Mother's Day, so let's have a little fun. Last segment we said the Mother Roll party should be thrown if Tennessee can reach 6 wins or 7 wins. If they make a bowl game, that's a good season, all things considered. But what is the mother of all obstacles standing between this team and 6 or 7 wins? If you got it could be schedule, could be the depth chart, offensive line, quarterback. What is the biggest obstacle? We'll start down there and we'll work our way this way.
Well, I mean, to me, you said it's the schedule. The SEC is not the league to be down. It'll be a team that's down. And we talked about it playing Florida for the first SEC game. You always play Alabama. I mean, how long has that been a guaranteed loss? So to me,
since Saban arrived.
Exactly. So to me, the schedule, and I've noticed this even when you follow baseball. When you're trying to jump over several teams, it's really tough to make up that ground. You got to play a lot better really fast, and that just does not happen very much.
Ryan, what's the big obstacle?
If I was being just in general, I think it's the talent level overall of this team. But yeah, I'll say it's depth. I think this team still doesn't have enough just really good SEC players top to bottom. You've got maybe a first team that you feel okay about, but any injuries at all affect this team. We've talked about it before. They've got such a thin margin for error. If injuries become an issue for this team at all, there's not enough proven options behind them. So I think it's depth, and they'll be exposed at some point in some form or fashion.
It's the schedule, but also in the context of you're starting with a first-year coach, so you're kind of in that start all over again position where you got Georgia's now in their 3rd year with Kirby Smart. And look what they've done. South Carolina's on the uptick with, Will Muschamp's had a couple of years to go, a couple of years under his belt. So I think you got just a couple of the programs that you compete against are ahead of you in that rebuilding.
I think you put Missouri ahead of them right now when you look at just based on quarterback, if nothing else. Barry Odom entering his 3rd year, another guy with a couple of years under his belt.
Mine is sort of related to what Ryan said. I'm going to go injuries. This team has been beset by injuries the last 2 years. It's hurt them in a lot of different areas, at linebacker, at various positions on the line of scrimmage. That relates to not having depth. If you can stay healthy, which this team probably won't if you go based on the last 2 years, that's where I think, look, if you get Trey Smith, if he can play 12 games and Kirkland gets in 12, Batuli 12, you get all these guys, I think your chances of having a decent team and a bowl team are pretty good. But if you get hit by the injury bug that they've had the last couple of years, I think that would be the thing that would get in the way.
And I'll get more specific than that. We've got injury depth. I'm going to go a schedule. I'm going to go offensive line because of injuries and depth. To me, that's I know you're still looking to try and maybe get another grad transfer at cornerback. I understand that, but boy, that offensive line, you've just got. You've lost starters. Venzel Boulware transferred out. You've had guys who've gotten hurt. Now, Jeremy Pruitt did say this week that Trey Smith looks great, feeling great, and ready to get to work. That's good. That's positive. But you just look along that line. All right, there's your starting 5. What's behind that? I mean, if you get 2 or 3 guys hurt, which they seem to do that every year on their offensive line, I just think it's a real – you're playing with fire at that point. Will Friend has a great reputation. He's going to have to earn it this year, I think, with that offense.
And how about one that is really tough to kind of put your finger on? Is attitude. Is when things start going bad, which seems to happen quite frequently with this team. Who was able to kind of step up and start making some plays to turn the things around instead of just letting things fall apart? How do you change that?
Well, I think that's a great question because you had Jeremy Pruitt talk all spring about their body language when something goes wrong, they're down. He talked about quit in the middle of the spring game. I think there's a real danger after last year that, oh boy, here we go again. I think that's a great point.
So thank you, John.
And
I hate to give credit. That's a good point.
The offensive line is a good point. I'll give you another one that I think is not talked about enough is the defensive line. I think you've still got some question marks there with Jonathan Kongbo and Kyle Phillips being counted on heavily, but behind those guys, who do you have? I think that's a big question mark. If there's even a little bit of an injury issue at that position, I think they're in real trouble.
And you got to keep Shot Tuttle healthy as well.
How can you have somebody the size of Kongbo be on the field and you don't even see him hardly? You don't even notice him. that you might as well be standing on the sidelines.
You can be the best defensive mind in the country, but if you struggle in the defensive line, there's only so much you can do.
Yep. All right. Later in the show, we're going to talk to you about first time head coaches in the SEC and how they've done. We'll see if that relates to Jeremy Pruitt at all. We'll get your take on that and show you some. We'll get their take on that and show you some interesting numbers. Up next, however, Tennessee's athletic slide. It began when blank left. Whose departure led to years of misery? That's next on the Sports Source.